balls.co.za.
And congratulations, you've been nominated for the Lifetime Achiever Award in the Comic Choice Comedy Awards. Did I say that right?
2014. I've got to stand at the top of Empire and Jan Smuts Avenue every morning for an hour between 8 and 9 o'clock for 3 months, and then they move me to Santon Square where I stand next to the statue of Medea in Santon Square for 3 weeks.
Wow.
24 hours.
Such pain. But I mean, what does that nomination mean to you? Is it something you're excited about? Am I right that your peers nominate you? Does that apply to this category?
Yes, peers nominate me. I didn't think many of them liked me because they always give me funny looks and look at me as I just sort of arrived on the number 12 bus from Yeovil. I always get a sort of very stressed, and they all stop talking when I walk into rooms.
Maybe
and
it's
then if we're doing a lineup, they all sort of just disappear. They leave me standing alone in the green room to eat everything. So I was quite surprised that they all nominated me.
No, it must be a great feeling.
Either that or they want to get rid of me. They think if we vote him now and he wins Lifetime Achiever, that means he's old and gone, so then we can get all the dicks.
Tell me, there are so many young up-and-coming comedians now. What do you think that's testament to? I mean, there's some, the Barry Hiltons, the Mark Banks, you've been around for years, but back when you started, there weren't as many comedians as there are now.
No, I think there's now about 12,778 comedians. The average age is about 18 to 23.
Wow.
I know, I got home the other day and the next door neighbour's children were doing stand-up comedy around the swimming pool. It was like unbelievable.
You're joking about that 12,000, right?
I'm joking. Okay. There's a lot, though. There's a good couple of hundred.
I mean, comedy is happening all over the country. Yes.
Some of them when I see them online, I think adult comedians have brought their children, and they say, no, those are the comedians. They're going on next. They're going on after you, Mark. And they're like young. They're like 19. What have they experienced? Well, But some of them are very, very funny. They're very funny, very cutting edge. Kids these days are so clued up and carried. They know more than we do, Hayley.
So ultimately, you think it's a good thing that comedy is expanding like it is? You don't think it's kind of watering down what's
No, not at all. Then only the best win. The good will win through, and the funny will triumph. Sure. I think the more the merrier, and especially now because they're coming from everywhere. We're getting people coming from Lesotho. They're crawling over the Lesotho highlands into South Africa to do Lesotho stand-up comedy. We've even got David Kabuka in Brazil doing comedy. I mean, it's just incredible. We've got a Ugandan, South African-based stand-up comedian in Brazil doing the football, which he relays back to us. We've got Trevor Noah, who's our international sort of comedy ambassador for the world. I think we could enter the Comedy Olympics next year.
Yeah, we'd have a full team, that's for sure.
All sections, easy.
So now your career has spanned many years. Mark, how did you get into comedy, and what would you say has been your highlight? I actually saw you when you did Bafani at Royal Albert Hall when I was living in London. I was so happy to have a bit of
Royal Albert Hall.
I was.
That happened.
I mean, would that stand out as a highlight for you?
That would have to.
No, beautiful venue.
Would have to stand. The Royal Albert Hall when Bafani went over. And the funniest thing was, the first thing I did when I came back from London, I came back here and I did a lunch at the Wilderness Hotel for about 33 very unhappy ladies who were having ladies' lunch thing. I thought, my goodness gracious me, Wednesday I was performing to a standing ovation at the Royal Albert Hall, and here I am dying on my feet in Wilderness to 33 horror women. That's sort of the ups and downs of the business. But the Royal Albert Hall would have to be the highlight.
Okay, so that's a highlight. Now. And a low light, I'm sure every comedian, when they start, they have some wobbly moments. Oh,
I don't know. In the early starting days, there's still things that make me wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning in a cold sweat thinking about Darren Scott. Which is terrifying, especially the recent pictures. Would probably in the starting out days, I took a show to the Grahamstown Festival once, which was just too horrifying for words. I hadn't rehearsed it. It didn't have a beginning. It didn't have a middle. It didn't have an end. And with all the smoke and bluster of youth, I thought, oh, well, my charm will win through. It was just an absolute horror. It was a thing called Stars of South Africa, where I would do impersonations and bad tap dancing and tell stolen jokes and
Oh,
Oh,
I'd
it's
love to see a
awful.
clip of that somewhere.
Oh my goodness, no, it's all burnt, it's all gone. There's no record of that at all.
Do critics still affect you? I mean, every show that you do now, I mean, obviously you're still getting reviewed, and do you read those, and is that something you care about?
Not really. One does read them, even the people who say they don't. But most of the critics who hated me are dead now, so that's always good to know. But there's always people out there to get you. I got reviewed a few months ago by a critic who was like, I think she was 18.
18.
I don't think she'd ever 18. I don't think she'd ever seen me do anything. I don't think she'd ever seen comedy.
Sure.
I don't think she knew, and it doesn't. The ones who know the business sometimes may have a sort of valid point in something might be too long, or we might be doing something that no one else knows anything about. But normally, critics are pretty fair these days. They're pretty jacked.
Okay.
And I think with the electronic media the way it is, with Twitters and tweets and blogs and things, it's an instant. It's an instant review from the audience when they're actually sitting in the theatre reviewing you while it's happening, going out to their Twitter friends, their blogs and things. So word of mouth on the electronic media is much, much stronger than anything critics could.
Quite a scary thought. You're getting reviews not just from, the experienced journalists, you're getting reviews from every, man and his dog.
I think so. I mean, the people in London now listening to Balls, which I can't believe.
Brilliant. Let's hope they got
on,
nice things to
streaming?
say. Yes, yeah. Balls.co.za. People are listening to us and they can tweet us at any moment.
I got a text from a friend in London, in fact, probably someone you lived with when you came to see me at the Royal Albert Hall. He said, looking forward to hearing you this morning on Balls. I thought he was back in the country and he's in London.
Ah, good to hear.
So here's you phoning me, I'm speaking to you, and they're listening in London. I mean,
brilliant.
We couldn't have done that 5 years ago, Hayley.
It's brilliant, and hopefully they'll send us a little tweet and they'll give us a little review of the interview after this.
I hope so. I hope so. How many does Balls get out to?
Sorry?
Balls has got a huge listenership.
Huge. You don't know what's going to happen after this morning.
Because the last time I was on Balls, I was promoting my charity work, which I do, Friends of the Flamingo, Fox. Especially now in winter, because we have to bring them in at night, otherwise the legs freeze. And if they try to move, they shatter, and you get lots of legless flamingos in the zoo. Which I
found that interview this morning when I was stalking you, and
after I did that on Balls, the Friends of the Flamingo, we received over 2,500 prosthetic flamingo legs from all around the world. People from China were sending in strap-on flamingo artificial Chinese-made beaks.
Friends of Flamingos. Okay. Well, if
Friends of the Flamingo, Fox.
Oh, sorry. Friends of the Flamingo.
That's one of the byproducts of rhino horn, is that they actually can chisel them down. The byproducts of a chopped down rhino horn, we can make strap-on flamingo
legs. Oh, beaks. Sorry, beaks. Okay.
Beaks as well, and some toenails are made from rhino horn as well. Because the beaks sometimes go when they put their noses into fans, especially during summer. It's another worry. Because sometimes when they see a rotating pink fan, they actually go to sort of peck at it, thinking it's a fellow female flamingo, and it's not, and they actually get their beaks sort of chipped off, putting them into fans, especially in offices at zoos.
It's dangerous these days for flamingos, definitely.
It's not easy. Nothing has it easy. Nature is a bitch. Yep. Nothing has it easy.
Not easy. And that interview is on YouTube if you want to see Mark's interview on his charity initiative there for the flamingos. And you'll hear Johnny laughing and actually crying as well.
Okay.
So you were promoting your one-man show in that interview. So I see you do lots of one-man shows, and you also do stand-up. What do you like most?
I think theatre shows are the best for an audience who knows what you do and what you're about, who've come to see you, who don't need any introduction to you, know what wavelength you're on.
Yes.
It's nice to interact with them because they know that you don't really mean what you say, although you do, and there is a point to it, but the whole thing is completely pointless.
It's just a bit of fun and a laugh.
My audience. I do a lot of corporate stuff. I do functions, launches, awards evenings, fundraisers.
Ladies' lunches.
Ramaphosa. I've got about 5-6 hours of current material that I can hone down to 20 minutes for any function, if I remember. It depends where one is.
How do you prepare for those things?
Sorry?
How do you prepare for those shows and where you have to stand up for 20 minutes and be funny? Do you write it down and learn it, or do you just kind of make a few points and kind of, move from one to another?
I think, like most other comedians, I have it in my head. In my head, you have to have it sort of in there somewhere. You know what you're going to say when you arrive at a bar mitzvah, and you know what you're going to say when you arrive at your grandmother's house on a Sunday, and you're not going to sort of arrive at your grandmother's house on a Sunday having come straight from a club the previous night.
Okay.
We'll be doing a different gig or a sort of different sort of phrase of words. So I think mentally one prepares, because you can't really write everything down, because when you get there and you find it's completely different, you can't refer to your notes.
Okay, so you just have to have that material in your mind and know what to pull on when the moment demands it.
Yes, it's like The Amazing Race, only it's done with words.
I like that.
It can be tricky. And then, of course, this Wednesday, coming up on the 9th, we've got the grilling of me. They're going to grill me, I think brine me, spit roast.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Where's
Parker's Comedy Club. Parker's. I was hoping you'd ask, Haley. Thank you so much. At Parker's Comedy Club, Monte Casino, this coming Wednesday at 8 o'clock.
Okay, this Wednesday.
And the team of grillers is Casper de Vries, Louisa Gawler, John Vlismus, Dave Levinson, Joe Parker, the Drakensberg Boys Choir, and Glenda Kemp with her python. Also the shark-keepers from the Durban Shark Board, and the head of Seif Property, Samuel Seif, will all be grilling me at 9 o'clock.
And what did you put yourself up for that? Were you nominated? Are you nervous?
No, it's part of the prize of winning Lifetime Achiever, whether you want to be grilled or not.
Oh, good of them. What a prize.
Also, if you don't feel like having yourself grilled, you still get grilled. So that's one of the joys.
Okay. And who are you most worried about, Vlismus?
Yes.
Or de Vries?
Vlismus' comedy terrifies me. In fact, all comedians' comedy terrifies me. So I think Vlismus, and I think Louisa Gawler, because he's insisted on being on it.
Oh, so he's got some secret material.
I think so. Probably pictures. He's probably got some secret pictures. I think he was at the Albert Hall with us, wasn't he? Yes, he was.
Yeah, he was, and Vlismus. So that's this coming Wednesday at 8 o'clock at Parker's Comedy Club, the grilling of Mark Banks. And I always ask all my guests, Mark, I have to ask you, what are you doing this weekend? What do you do in your spare time?
In my spare time, as little as possible. If I'm not on, I stay indoors. I keep the door locked. I stay in bed. I read. I catch up on DVDs. I've got about 140 DVDs here, which I haven't seen yet.
Wow. Okay.
And generally do nothing. Do absolutely nothing, and that's wonderful. People say, well, you can't stay at home and do nothing. I do it so well that I've almost won a Bulgarian gold Oscar for nothingness.
Okay, so you're either really busy or doing absolutely nothing.
Complete chill out. This weekend, nothing. This weekend, I'm insulating the house, and I'm putting all the funny foam around door frames and windows that stops -2 horrifying breezes coming through, the sort of tundral winds that blow through that have started now.
And Mark, will you be performing at the Comic Choice Awards?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm performing at the Comic Choice Awards, and I'm entering 2 new categories of the Comedy Awards, which have never been done before, which is freestyle ice skating, which I'll be doing on a very small rink made out of Teflon. Cyril Ramaphosa's sponsor the Teflon ice rink, and also slalom, which I'll be doing through the auditorium for speed comedy slalom. Which is very, very dangerous. No one has ever done it without breaking at least 3 bones. So I'm hoping to do it. That's at the Comics Choice Awards.
Okay.
I'll be
very serious.
From the upper balcony of the Monte Casino main theatre down onto the stage, and then through the various aisles through the auditorium on one ice skate and with a prosthetic leg which has come from a donor in Pretoria.
Never to be repeated. Very serious award ceremony coming up on the 2nd of August at Monte Casino. That's the Savannah Comic Choice Awards, and Mark Banks there being nominated.
I also start screaming like a woman now. When I get very nervous, I scream like a woman.
I hope you've got a very emotional speech plan for when everyone gives you that 10-minute standing ovation.
Very, very emotional. I made 3 street children cry the other day when I just read the first line to them. They burst into tears and ran away.
Good. I hope you've got, got to be lots of tears in the house.
And when I start screaming like a woman during the act, it's only people within the distance of 110 meters that can hear. It's me screaming as a woman.
Okay.
Further than that, people can't hear whether it's a man or a woman screaming.
Or a cricket bat.
Or a cricket bat.
Okay. All right. Lovely to chat to you, Mark. Good luck for your grilling on Wednesday. I'm going to try and come through to that. I was at the Steve Hofmeyer one, and I love it. It's brutal and it's good entertainment.
Did you like that one?
I liked most of the people that did the grilling, to be honest. I did.
Good.
Some of them.
Good.
I mean, it's always funny to watch Minky be a comedian, right?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
When is this being broadcast?
What we're doing right now?
Yes.
It's live.
Sorry?
It's live. You talking to me like
out now.
What would you like? What would you have wanted to edit out?
I can't listen to it on the. Oh my goodness! All right, I'll have to phone my friend in London and see if it came through.
No, if for anyone that missed the interview, the podcast will be up on the website balls.co.za.
Fantastic.
All right, I'll even send
there.
Natasha a link so she can let you know.
Thank you.
Okay. Have a wonderful gig next week and all the best for the Comic Choice Awards. Nice to chat to you.
Thank you very much.
Enjoy insulating your house this weekend.
Thank you very much. Love to balls.
Love to. Thanks, Mark. Love to you. Cheers. Bye. That's the never disappointing Mark Banks, nominee for the Lifetime Achiever Award at the Savannah Comic Choice Awards.
Balls.co.za